I made a lot of people angry, so here's my response to the comments from the video of the animals exposed to the rain while driving down the highway. It seems like a lot of people didn't understand what was happening in that video, so let's start off first by addressing that because this is an educational channel. So someone was driving a truck hauling an open trailer, that means it didn't have a roof covering it, down the highway while it was just pouring rain here in El Paso, Texas. Now I cringe every time I see an open trailer because they're just so dangerous for livestock and for horses. Regardless of the rain, that's really not the biggest problem going on in that video. It's just how they have that type of trailer hauling horses. And when I see that, I cringe, but then when I next saw what was in the bed of the truck, it's like, well, yeah, these people aren't going to care about their livestock. They're not going to care about their horses when they're straight out abusing their dogs. And that is the abuse that was going on in that video, is that the dogs were in an open crate in the bed of a truck while it was pouring rain. And I got these comments of, well, it probably wasn't raining when it started. And yes, I totally agree. That was another one of my points. It is El Paso, Texas. Summers are 110 degrees. So they are completely exposed to the sun on metal. So they're burning their paws. And then it starts raining. So it's just overall not a good situation. The comfort of the animals is not being taken into consideration at all. Now, there are laws in El Paso, Texas that dogs do have to have access to shelter. I don't know if they just didn't put it into law that includes transportation, or if it's just not something that's being enforced. But yeah, that is my point, is that how are you going to expect somebody to provide better care, better transportation, safer transportation for horses and livestock if they cannot even do that for their dogs, if the dogs are so carelessly put into a crate? Now, the majority of people watching that video wanted to completely ignore the abuse that was happening to the dogs in order to just joke around about the horses being exposed to rain, which is not the same thing as horses being in a pasture. You're not being hauled down the highway with dangerous objects, rain that can quickly turn into hail on a concrete and metal platform. So it is a totally different situation, but people just want to immediately go to making excuses instead of actually having to do better. And it really goes to prove my point that the community in general doesn't expect anything better, doesn't want to do better. And also because if it was just whatever, it's no big deal, people would have maybe put a laughing emoji and moved on. But I've gotten lots of threats. I've gotten people saying they're going to find where I live, threatening my life, my animals, all of that, because they're so angry. They're so angry that someone is exposing that and actually calling it out. There's really no excuse for any of it. If you have working dogs, you want them at peak performance. You don't just put them in situations that can overheat them or get them sick. And for horses as well. It's such a cheap way to transport livestock, and when you take these cheap options, that's when you run into dangerous situations and risk injury. Negative voices can be the loudest, and especially these wannabe cowboys that have just lost their minds over it. But the truth is that I have gotten such a positive response as well from this video of people who do expect better and do expect the community to evolve.